You're listening to Terry Beltran Podcast, your brand therapist for purpose-driven leaders. I'm Terry Beltran, and we talk branding, multicultural marketing, and emotional storytelling that people actually feel, remember, and trust. Let's dive in. What's under the surface drives everything. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever watched a business launch a product, a founder start a company, or even a big corporation roll out a new initiative, and everything looks perfect on the surface? The logo is clean, the website is polished, the social posts are consistent, and yet it's not landing. Sales are slow, marketing feels expensive, the messaging keeps changing, and the team can't agree on what to say or who they're talking to. If that's ever been you or someone you've watched from the outside, here's the truth. It's usually not a marketing problem. It's a foundation problem, because building a brand is like building an iceberg. Most people focus on the small part above the water while ignoring everything underneath that actually holds it up. Today, I'm going to break down what I mean by brand foundation, what elements live under the surface, and what happens if you skip it. And most importantly, how having it in place helps you connect with the right customers, communicate clearly, and spend marketing dollars wisely. You see, your brand isn't just about what people see. Your brand is what holds everything together. When the foundation is strong, marketing gets simpler. When the foundation is weak, marketing gets harder and more expensive. So let's talk about what actually happens under the surface. Picture an iceberg. Above the waterline, what you see is the logo, the name, the colors, the website, the tagline, the social media look. And listen, those things matter. They do. But that's not the brand. That's the expression of the brand. The brand foundation is everything under the waterline. That's what gives the visible part meaning. That's what keeps it stable. That's what keeps it consistent, no matter who is speaking for the company. Because without the underneath part, you can build a beautiful iceberg tip, but it melts the second it hits real market pressure. Another way to picture it, your brand is a tree. What people see is the trunk, the branches, and the leaves. That's your marketing. That's your presence. That's your visuals and messaging out to the world. But none of that lasts if the roots aren't deep. Roots are the anchor when things shift. They feed you when growth happens. They keep you from snapping the moment the wind picks up. And business is wind, constant wind. Competition shows up, markets change, customer expectations shift, new platforms emerge. Your product evolves. If your roots are shallow, you'll keep redoing the same thing. Redo the messaging, redo the website, redo the brand, redo the campaign. It's not because you're bad at branding. It's because you built the branches before the roots. So here's the line I want you to remember. Before spending money in marketing, build what's under the surface. Roots first, then the branches. So what does brand foundation actually mean? It's a set of decisions and the proof behind those decisions that makes your brand make sense. It's the clarity that informs everyone else. And yes, it includes due diligence. It includes research. It includes usability testing when relevant. It includes understanding your ICA, your ideal customer avatar. So here are key elements for building a foundation. I'm going to keep this practical. First, your ideal customer avatar. If you don't know who you're for, you'll talk to everyone. And when you talk to everyone, no one feels like you're talking to them. Your ICA is not a vague description like small business owners or busy professionals. It's clarity around who they are, what they care about, what they're trying to solve, what they've tried before, what makes them say yes, and what makes them immediately tune out. And this is where a lot of brand mistakes begin. People build the brand they like instead of building the brand customers trust. Second, it's the problem you solve and the outcome you deliver. That sounds obvious, but that's where messaging gets messy. What do you actually do in the customer's words? What change do you create for them? If you can't say that simply, then you're over-explaining. You'll rely on jargon. You'll sound like everyone else. Clarity turns into clear messaging later. Third, positioning. Positioning is the why choose you part. It's not just listing a feature, it's space that you want to own in your customer's mind. Here's what happens when positioning isn't clear and companies start borrowing identities. Small businesses do this all the time, especially early on. They look at other customers like them, copy what seems to be working, and ending up sounding the same as everyone in their category, instead of doing the work to be unique. And big companies do this too. Take JP Morgan Chase, for example. They launched Fin by Chase, a separate mobile-first brand to win young customers. But it didn't stand out enough. And eventually, they shut it down and moved customers to their main Chase app. That's the risk of borrowing startup energy without a clear foundation and differentiation. Borrowing branding might get attention, but clarity is what builds trust. Fourth, your brand promise. This is the consistency piece. It's what your customers should expect every time they interact with your brand. It's what your customers should be able to expect every time they interact with you. Your brand promise is basically, this is what it feels like to work with us. This is what you'll get. This is what we won't compromise. Without this, you get a brand that changes personality depending on who writes the email. Fifth, your voice. Once you know who you're talking to, what you do, and why it matters, then you decide how you sound. Not professional, not fun, not generic adjectives. I mean, what you emphasize, what you avoid, what you repeat consistently, what language your customer actually uses, what tone matches your leadership style and the market expectation. This matters because a lot of the marketing spend gets wasted. It gets wasted on trying different things when the problem is that there's no messaging foundation. 6, proof and feedback. This is the due diligence part, because your foundation shouldn't be built on guesses. Research matters, customer insights matter, and usability testing when you have a product, because it tells you what people actually do, not what you hope they do. If you skip this part, you end up branding for the imaginary customer. And that's when you see things like great traffic, but no conversions, clicks, no buys, interest, no trust. People love it, but no one commits, because your brand is speaking to a version of a market that does not exist. Now let's talk about impact, because the question isn't just what's in the foundation. It's how does it affect the company when it's done right? Here's how it looks in real life. You attract the wrong customers, or you attract people that aren't ready, or people who love your content but will never buy. And then you assume the offer is wrong, or the market is saturated, or ads don't work, when really your foundation is attracting the wrong fit. Marketing gets expensive because you keep throwing money at creativity instead of clarity. More ads, more content, more campaigns. But if the brand foundation isn't clear, you're basically paying to amplify confusion. Your team can't communicate consistently. Sales says one thing, marketing says another. The website says something different. And customers feel that friction. Even if they can't explain it, they feel it. And friction kills trust. And finally, you keep rebranding, rebuilding, and redoing. We need a new logo. We need a new website. We need to refresh the brand. Sometimes you do need updates. But if you're doing this consistently, it's usually because the foundation wasn't fully built in the first place. Now let's flip it. When the foundation is strong, here's what happens. You connect to the right people because you know who you're talking to, and your message becomes a mirror. Your ideal customer hears you and thinks, finally, someone who gets me. You communicate better. You stop trying to sound clever. You sound clear. You get consistent. You stop second guessing every headline and every post. You spend marketing dollars wisely because you're not guessing. You know what to say. You know who to target. You know what your customer needs to move forward. And your marketing stops being throw spaghetti on the wall. It becomes intentional. So whether you're starting a business, launching a new product, leading a rebrand inside an established corporation, or trying to scale what's already working, this is the core idea. Brand isn't what you design. Brand is what you decide based on real understanding. Build what's under the surface first, because the market doesn't reward the prettiest brand. The market rewards the clearest brand. And clarity comes from building what's underneath. If you want help building this out, I put together a one-page diagram that maps the brand foundation, what's under the iceberg, so you can sanity check your brand. It's free. and you can download it in the description. And if you want more practical brand clarity tips that will help you stand out, subscribe, because this is exactly what we're going to keep breaking down in order to help you stand out from the crowd. All right, that's it for today. Remember, before you start spending money on marketing, build what's under the surface. Roots first, then the branches. I'll catch you at the next episode.